It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the Cosmick Voice. Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmick Voice. This is Season 6, Episode 17. I am here with the one and only, and still New York Post known, Chris Natalini.
Hello, everyone.
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back to another show. Chris, how you doing, my good man? Read all about it. Get your papers here. Get your papers here.
Read it in the Post. I am good, brother. I am very good. How about yourself?
I'm great. Because we just had a 30-minute BITCH session before we went on air just to get ourselves in a good mood. So, fantastic.
I think what we should do is when we ever decide that we're done with this podcast, that all of our stuff off the air that's recorded, we should just blow ourselves up and just end it.
God. There's 6 seasons worth. There's pre-show and post-show stuff.
Yes.
And
yes.
It would be nuts.
Yeah.
It would definitely have to be an X-rated show. I mean,
for sure, dude. For sure. We calling people out.
Oh, we're calling. Well, not. Yeah, I mean, in the language, it's bad. I mean,
yeah, it's
definitely not professional.
No,
definitely not professional.
No.
I think.
Not at all.
I think some people would be surprised at how bad you talk. Very influential, I'll tell you.
Well, listen. You know, when you're in the New York Post, you know, I'm
I guess you can say whatever you want. I mean,
I can.
Listen, if John Lennon can say that they're more popular than Jesus, I guess you could say what you want at this point.
That's right, man. That's right.
So
I have to be honest. I've really been milking this New York Post thing for a week.
Listen, you got to do it. You got to do it, man.
Anytime somebody says something, I go, yeah, well, have you been in the New York Post? Because I have.
That's great. That's great. I mean, hey, listen, you do what you got to do. You do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's good, man. That's good. Maybe you'll get a kickback from all that at some point as well.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So I was telling a friend of mine a couple of days ago. I'm like, you know, I gotta be honest. Like, I'm a little disappointed they didn't mention any of our names in the picture. Like, you went to Metal Encyclopedia to take the picture because you know my buddy Rich doesn't have a Facebook. You know, when this whole I think I said to you last week, like when the whole lawsuit thing originally started, he took his Facebook down. The press went digging, and they came out of the picture. I'm like, you couldn't look at Metal Encyclopedia and list all of our names from left to right.
Right.
Listen, I did tell him though. I said, listen, because I was talking to him the other day, and I said, listen, just so you know, if they contact me, I'm talking.
I'm telling them
everything I got. I'm selling you out, and I'm plugging everything I have.
When your new press releases come out, you know, New York Post poster boy. Chris Natalini, lead singer of...
Yeah, that's right. I'm singing like a canary.
That's right.
I'm telling them everything they want to know.
Everything.
But how you doing, man? Everything good on your end?
Yeah. We're getting ready to drop some new material. We're going to be doing a pre-sale. It's exciting times. Exciting times. We've got a number of shows coming up. We're setting up some stuff for the summer. You know, getting ready for the fall, too. I know we're months off, but it's kind of happening that way. We'll have some new music, like I said a couple podcasts ago. Yeah, it goes fast. Absolutely. Before you know it, it's Christmas in July, and then, hey, listen, Hallmark. So there you have it. I mean, hello, 2025. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing we're happening here. So,
yeah, man. I heard that.
Yeah.
Heard that.
Anything else going on your end?
No, brother. Nope. As always, like I've just been, you know, I feel like I repeat which I do repeat myself. No, we're just, both bands are just plugging along and creating, man. It's just that, it's funny how this kind of fell. I kind of wish that, one band was active and the other band was not, but it just so happens and it usually happens in my life that way. Both bands are super active and then both bands are non-active at the same time. It's really bizarre. But yeah, man, we're just creating. Like I said, my one CD is not almost done, but the light is at the end of the tunnel. We're about to really start mixing, which I'm super excited about. And other band, we have some shows coming up like you, and we're just writing new music. We're working in another new member, so things are moving slowly but surely. Slow and steady wins the race.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Things ebb and flow, and then you have that calm before the storm where we talked about it in another episode where it seems like nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden there's this explosion, and it's one thing after another, and then you're trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of the cycle of what we do and how we do it. A lot of bands will lay dormant for a long period of time, and then they get together just to play a show, and then they disappear again. And that's the difference between, I think, that weekend warrior type thing, again, which I have no problems with. I actually wish I could do that. There's something exciting about it because it's kind of like leaving the work at the office.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You do what you got to do, and then you hang up that jacket and you head on home. And unfortunately, once the show's over, there's still more to do, right? In a sense, the show never ends, in a way. It's tough. That's where, when we talked about how you can easily get burned out and you can lose your inspiration and you hit a wall and you're like, well, what am I doing now? Like, again, if people were privy to our pre-show conversation, as we just kind of warm ourselves up, we're like, have we hit a wall or has the wall hit us? Actually, I think right now in this time, the way the industry is going, the wall's hit us. We didn't run into the wall. I mean, there's been times I've run into the wall, but I think that the walls hit us at this point. We're just trying to figure out how to move around. That's like in a bad Atari game. You're just kind of like this type. But
I think, too, it's going to be one of those things, too, where, okay, like I'm kind of on the down low right now, just kind of riding the wave. And then I'm constantly like, oh, man, I wish we were busy. I wish we were busy. And all of a sudden, we're going to be so busy. I'm going to be like, oh, man, like I wish we would slow down so I can catch my breath. And I'm okay with that. It is what it is, as long as we're busy. As long as we're moving forward.
Right. And there's different paces to that. And like we talked about before, it's just something that we have to accept, but utilize to the best of our advantage. Because sometimes you just need that break time. And then sometimes, even the big guys, like they'll disappear and they'll come back, like right now, Kiss is in the backstage somewhere talking to their avatars, getting ready for 2027 or whenever that was. I'm not even sure. Hopefully they fix Paul Stanley's face a little bit on that.
Yeah, a little bit, right? A little bit.
Like
Still
maybe make it
work.
look more like him and shrink Gene Simmons' face just a little bit. And,
Just a little. Just a little,
my
bro.
God.
Just a little.
But that whole thing, I'm just kind of baffled and curious to see at the same time where I think that they should just do a Disney or Universal ride. You heard it here first. That's what I thought that they were going to. Listen, Aerosmith did it, but if they did some kind of interactive thing where you're into this ride, like anybody that's done the Mummy at Universal, that's an intensive ride. Something like that where you can feel the flames, you see them perform, looking for the talisman. I don't know, whatever.
Like I'd said that to you before, when they did that right after the last concert, there was that thing on their website where they sat with
the Industrial Light and Magic people.
Industrial Light, so they're the ones that did the Avatar. So with working under Lucas is under the Disney umbrella, there's been many talk for years that, Disney's going to eventually get rid of the Aerosmith on the Rock and Roller Coaster at Hollywood Studios. To me, I mean, and Kiss has been PG-13 for how many years now? I mean, it's not like, they kind of really got away from that. They became a more family-oriented show, right? Like, there's no language, they're very careful with the songs they do. So to put them in that spot where that Aerosmith roller coaster still is today, that rock and roller coaster, that would be amazing.
Well, listen, not that Aerosmith was super clean either. I mean, there's two guys with major drug issues at one point, number one. And two, on a flip side, that ride, every time I've ever been down there, is still packed. Like, I mean, it's still packed. It would almost be crazy that they get rid of it because it seems like such a draw. Even, how long's it been down there? 20 years or more?
Bro, I think they opened it right after Wayne's World 2, right? Because it's kind of around the time that Aerosmith kind of resurfaced and had that,
the
that
Armageddon movie and, and all that kind of stuff.
So I think, what was it, 90-something? I mean, that movie's been, a million years they've been there. So, but I think that at the time that they did that, Aerosmith was kind of
relevant.
Also, so they kind of worked around their, their PG. And I don't think they really were too concerned about it back then, where I think today it's 2024. I think it's more prevalent.
Well, because we're in that, I'm going to say it, going to use it here on the show. You know, everybody's part of the woke era, the woke generation, so they're just trying to. But Kiss has done Scooby-Doo movies in recent years. I have several of them on DVD.
Absolutely.
So why couldn't they? Why wouldn't they? And like you said, the way everything's geared up, they're more modeled for one of these kind of interactive technology rides than most other bands.
Listen,
and the legacy. Come on, you got a brand that doesn't even need to. It'll sell itself. Kiss at Disney.
100%. And you know, if anybody's ever ridden that, for anybody that's listening that's never ridden that roller coaster, it's an indoor upside down roller coaster, and it starts off 0 to 60, or I think 0 to 65 in 3 seconds or 8 seconds, whatever it is. Could you imagine? And you know, when you sit in the coaster, the seat plays Aerosmith songs through the whole ride, a medley of them. Could you imagine taking off in that roller coaster car, which is supposed to be a stretch limo for Aerosmith? Could you imagine listening to Detroit Rock City when that thing takes off?
I can. I'm just thinking about it right now.
It sells itself, bro. I mean, and the merch alone. Come on, put Mickey Mouse in Kiss makeup. Hell, I'm buying that shirt. Yeah. I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear you. It's a win-win, but if they'll do it, I don't know. To me, and you and I talked about it before.
That's the ultimate merchandise package right there. Now, I mean, whether you like it or not, they have the Star Wars stuff that's in the retail, and then they have the Star Wars stuff that has the Disney more geared in the thing. And some people are like, well, as a collector, that's not really worth anything, or there's one-offs down there, exclusives. You know, whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. Anytime I've been down, I'm a Star Wars fan, that place is packed. I mean, it's literally packed. Like, sometimes you got to wait in line because every year it's a new generation. You want longevity, you want consistency, you want legacy, you go to Disney, and they make it happen.
Could you imagine the big four of Disney being Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and Donald dressed like Kiss?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man. Come on. Dude, the artwork alone I would buy. I mean, that's just, that's just.
I don't know if anybody else has talked about it, but again, I'm trying to make it a first here. It's a first right here at the Cosmick Voice.
It is.
Somebody get that to Blabbermouth. Chris, put some quotes out there, will you? Put some quotes out there.
That's right. Put some. I'll call the New York Post when I get off the.
Exactly. Can you do that for me, please?
I will. I'll call my manager and have him.
Say, listen, I got some more dirt on that Elon Mustang, but before I give it,
you gotta run this.
That's right. You gotta run this first. Oh man, everybody's got an angle. Everybody's got an angle.
And why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm still trying to figure out what mine is. When I'm older, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's right.
When I grow up. When I grow up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's Russ the Boss.
Take it down.
This is Stephen Pearson from Rat, the Rat Bastard. You're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
All right, so here we go. Let's get into some grown-up stuff. We're going to talk about today. The topic today is playing it safe or stealing home, how we choose to be an artist. Playing it safe or stealing home, how we choose to be an artist. What do you think, buddy? What does that mean to you? Is it you a chance taker or you wet nilly?
You know, man, I got to be honest. I have always been sort of a chance taker. Not my entire career, but a good portion of my career. As I've gotten older, I read Scott Ian from Anthrax, his book called I'm the Man. And whether it be right or wrong, a lot of the stories that he told was the band making these decisions based on if their favorite bands did it. Like, their favorite bands were Kiss, obviously, Iron Maiden, and Judas Priest. And their big thing was, and I'll just tell you a quick story. So apparently in the book, they talk about going to Europe during the Persistence of Time tour. And their manager, the famous Johnny Z, told them, you guys are going to lose money if you take your entire stage set over to Europe. And they said, Iron Maiden can do it. We're doing it. And I love that attitude. Listen, probably at the end of the day, you go, I mean, he even said in his book, he's like, I don't even know what we were thinking. But at the time, they were like, listen, if somebody else could do it, we're doing it too. If our favorite band can do it. And I love that. I think that's great, dude, because why not? I mean, take the chance, man. Like, we've said it before, and I even say this in life. Take the chance. We said it in the last episode. Buy the ticket. I mean, because sometimes and I know this is going to sound strange to some people, but sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's just about the experience. Sometimes it's just about the lesson learned. Money, as nice as it is to have and as horrible it is to not have any, you just take the chance. And that's what Anthrax did. And if you read his book, them guys weren't making money until the late 90s, early 2000s. And remember, they were together since the 80s. Right. So they never really made any kind of money because they were chance takers. Now, mind you, there were things, there was failed marriages, there was, weird spending and ticket sales. They lost a lot of money because some tours weren't doing well. And that was through the 90s, because we all know how the metal scene and hard rock scene, kind of went downhill through the 90s. So they lost a lot of money there. But that attitude of going, well, if Iron Maiden can take their stage set, we're taking it too. And I think that's awesome, man. So ever since I read that book, I'm a little more of a chance taker than I used to be. I used to try to play it safe, or at least try to do the right thing. Sometimes you just got to throw caution to the wind, man, and just go, hell with it. Let's do it. What's the worst that can happen? We don't do it again. I've taken many shows on that attitude. Let's take it. What's the worst that can happen? It's not a great show? All right, so we wasted a Saturday night or, a couple hours drive. Who cares? Let's take the chance. And so to me, man, it's going for it, brother. Just going for it. If it makes sense. Sometimes things don't make sense, which I totally understand. But if it makes sense for everybody and everybody goes, you know what? You're right. Let's just take the chance. What are we losing? If you're not losing anything, hell with it. If you lose a little bit of money and you're okay with it, then take that chance, man, because you never know what that's going to come out. Perfect example. I'm not even sure if I told this story on the podcast, but anyway, over the summer, traveled to Virginia to do this festival with my newest project. We played in front of maybe 6 people. I mean, you're talking Virginia, from Philly, you're talking 6-7 hour drive. We had a great time on stage. One of the best sets that we as a band had ever done up to that point. We hadn't even done many, but we had a great time. The 4 of us just had a great time. The show wasn't that great, but you know what we got out of it because we took that chance? We made friends with the owner. And the owner is the booking guy. And we've been in contact ever since. And he wants us to come back. So that chance that we took, not knowing how that festival was going to be, not knowing how Virginia was going to be on a Friday night, well, we took the chance. And sure, we wasted money. We wasted time. We, as 4 friends, had a great time, a lot of laughs. We had a great set. The video footage and looks and sounds great. The show wasn't great, but because we took that chance, we did get something out of it. We got friendly with the owner and the guy who books the shows there. But he's in a metal band. So hopefully, when we get back up on track, we'll be able to kind of head back down there and trade off shows, vice versa, whatever. But we took that chance and that paid off. Not everyone does. But I think if you're going to take a chance, you have to take something out of it, right? Whatever it may be. You're big on, and we've been talking about this a lot, and I don't want to break down the fourth wall, but we've been talking a lot about stage time for you and you guys. And I think that because you're honing your craft, right? Because you guys are working a new guy in, you have to kind of learn how to play on stage with each other, learn how each other reacts and to different situations. And if anything, I mean, that's the chance you take, and you do it for that. Like, you got to pull out if you're going to take a chance and it doesn't work out, you try. And we've talked about this, I think, even when Pam Aloya was on the show, making something positive out of it, just pulling something out of it that made us go, it didn't work out, but I'm kind of glad we did it because of A. Take that chance, man, because what do you got to lose? Time. We don't have a lot of time on this planet, so take the chance, because you never know what's going to come out of it. And I've been living like that more and more as I've gotten older.
Let me ask you this. You said that following you reading that book, you started looking at things differently, doing things differently than you may have done before. Can you give an example of what you would have maybe played safe at one point and what you wouldn't now? Like how the book made that change for you? Like, I understand that, like, hey, if they can do it, we can do it. I totally get that. Yeah. But give us an example of something. Doesn't have to be real specific, but what something was before where you said, well, you may have played it safe. Now, after reading the book, this is how you would handle it.
The Virginia show was one of them. We did, and you also, you and I both did a traveling festival through the summer of 2023 that we didn't know how it was going to be, right? You and I did a show together on a Friday night in Pittsburgh. We weren't sure how that was going to go, but we were up in that area anyway. And why were we up in that area? because we said, let's take the chance. We really took a chance, and we have no name. Like, we hadn't even played a handful of times, less than a handful of times at that point. So we said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get our name out there. Let's just try it and see what happens. Again, worst case scenario, we just waste money. At least we're together. We're going to have a great time. And honestly, a lot of those festival shows ended up really being awesome outside of the Virginia one. A lot of them ended up being pretty good for us because we took that chance. You and I took a chance in Pittsburgh. Didn't work out for the best. But you know what? We were all together and we played together and we had a lot of laughs by the end of the night. And, you know, it was something we did. We tried it and it didn't work. And now we know for next time. You know, now we're a little more prepared if we ever decide to, I shouldn't say we'll decide because I'm sure we will do it again. But it was one of those things that you and I were like, let's just take a chance. We're already out there. Why not do it? We have nothing to lose because we're already there. So let's book a show at a place that we don't know anything about and hope for the best. And that's what we did. That summer of shows is one of the things that I don't necessarily know if I would have taken many years ago. Collectively, we have a lot of years on stage. We don't have a lot of time on stage together. So taking a festival like that was taking a big chance because let's say the festival was packed and we weren't at our best. Now, we all trusted each other because we've been together for so long that we'd be able to shine, but we weren't sure if we were going to be able to pull it off together, and we did. And that was the chance we took. So that traveling summer festival is definitely one thing I probably would have questioned previously when I was a little younger.
Sometimes just proximity, it's like, well, what do we have to lose? Like you said, we're already here. Let's make the best of it. Something comes about. A lot of times with bands like us, honestly, most shows there isn't a guarantee, and anybody that tells you differently, that's not true, especially if you're out there just trying to bring your music out to the people. And we talked about this before. Some people go, well, you shouldn't be in an area unless you have the numbers. Well, the truth is, how do you know if you have those numbers? If you're an independent band that doesn't release music, you just play live, does that mean you shouldn't be out there and try? I think that's an excuse that people go so that they never have to face the fire. And I think that that's something that a lot of artists avoid doing, is facing that fire, because they're afraid of, I think, more than just losing money. I mean, God, listen, let's talk about it. If you're in this business, you've lost money. You're losing money. If you're still in this business after 30-some years, you've lost money. So it's more than just the money, right? Yeah. It's more than just money. It's not like we're just throwing money away, though. I guess it could be looking at. But it's not like we're doing it intentionally or just doing it because we can do it. That's not it. I mean, a lot of time and effort and creativity goes into how am I going to finance this? What am I going to do for this or that or the other thing? Yeah. But a lot of it is we don't want to face the rejection. We don't want to face the ridicule. You know, that walk of shame coming back and people go, yeah, I heard the show was a mess, or... You know, because word gets around. I mean, no matter what, you know, and you're doing your best that you can, and, you know, and you still have to deal with that. It's like, well, what did you do? You stayed home Friday night, ate a bag of chips. Your wife didn't want anything to do with you. So what's the difference? You didn't seem to have much success either. At least I got out and I tried something that I'm passionate about.
And, you know, man, like, to be completely honest, in this business, we all try to pump numbers, right? Like, we all go, oh my God, it was great. And in reality, it wasn't that great. When the Virginia thing happened and we came home and a couple people that I know asked me about it, I was honest. I was like, it wasn't that great. And they go, well, like, why did you do it? Why not? Like, why not? Like you said, what are you doing? All right. So we drove 12, 13 hours and played in front of 4 people, whatever, 6 people, however many it was. Doesn't really matter. What'd you do? Like you said, right? You know, like earlier in the show, I was making fun about the New York Post. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, what'd you do? Did you take a chance? We did. You didn't. So it doesn't matter if people were there or not, because we took the chance. And if you're not taking chances, then you're not living, right?
Well, exactly. But unfortunately, the way our society puts things together, and again, I'm just kind of playing both sides so everybody understands where we're coming at. Just to quickly put it out on the table, Chris and I, the reason we've been doing this for so long is because we have taken chances. We've fallen on our face. Again, if you've listened to this podcast, you hear it quite often, even in modern time. But sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't, but we're still doing it. You can only play the backfield for so long. If you're looking for the action, you got to get up front. You got to take some hits. right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to get to the quarterback, there's like, a couple guys blocking him. You got to get through them. So you're going to take a couple shots. You may get knocked down. You're going to try again. The thing here is that in this business, you can only play it safe for so long. Like sooner or later, you're going to have to take a chance. You may have to take a chance on you. You may have to take a chance on new members. You may have to take a chance on a third party. Or I once knew, and when I say once, because I haven't associated, communicated, or even been in the same zip code with this individual for, I don't know, a lot of years. So I used to know someone who was an aspiring filmmaker, went to college for it, was very talented, had this quirkiness about how they wrote and put things together. The problem was they were so afraid to let anyone read their scripts because they were afraid somebody would steal it, or somebody would get a hold of it and then do it wrong, or they would lose some kind of control, or, every time there was something. And you know what? You know what happened? Nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing at all. And as an artist, regardless of what kind of artist you are, for us musical artists, if you don't take that chance, and again, a lot of people do, how many bedroom producers do we have where they write music but it never goes out anywhere? They want to, but they're afraid to take that chance of letting somebody hear it. Well, part of the excitement, I know, for Chris and I is that we want to share that music. And it's not like, hey, we're looking for the pat on the back. It always is nice when other people get it and share along with the fun. I mean, that's life. The more the merrier type of thing. But there is an excitement about the sharing when you're working on it. Like, oh, man, this is going to be, really cool. Somebody else is going to feel the same way, whatever. And, I mean, we take that chance all the time. You know how many bad critic reviews I've gotten on my material? A lot. I mean, tons. When I was younger, it used to really rock me to no end. I'm like, sometimes the critique wouldn't even be on the music. And I'm saying to myself, well, I don't know, is this about the music? One time I got critiqued on, and I quote, they said, these guys aren't spring chickens. And it's like, well, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Does it make a difference? Yep. Like, I guess in somebody's eyes, if they were 5, 10, 15 years younger than we were at that time, maybe it did make a difference. That's old folks music. I'm not going to listen to that. So let's not even bother, but we'll take a shot of it. Yep. Or I know that a lot of people in different metal genres had critiqued our music. And again, I'll be the first to tell you, we have a modern throwback sound. It's very niche. And you know what I mean? What am I supposed to do? That's what resonates with me. That's where I'm most honest. I like it. There is a small audience for it. I can't fit that audience in my basement, so that to me, that's a pretty big audience. But it's small compared to some of the other subgenres. But if they don't like it, how are they going to see past their already dislike?
Yeah.
Right? They may not even hear the music. So a true artist, in my opinion, sees the quality regardless of the style or the genre. Listen, you may not like it, but, props to where props are. These are great musicians. Not my cup of tea, but they're fantastic musicians. I like what they did here. Production is such and such. Whatever. There's all this kind of stuff. For those that like this kind of stuff, this is a perfect thing. You don't have to throw in all the personal stuff. That's the problem, I think, sometimes people as artists, we get confused with what is really the truth and what is somebody's personal opinion. We can all have personal opinions.
Yes, I think also, too, in what we do, we are surrounded by bitterness, jealousy, ego, and that makes it hard. I get it. You're only worried about your own band, as you should be. But there is nothing wrong with helping other bands and being supportive. I'm a firm, big believer, and this hill I will die on. You don't always have to worry about someone being or doing better than you, because it's not what this is about. We're all artists. We're all creative. And I understand we all want that shot. I get it. I totally understand. And I also understand the theory of, well, why would I give it to somebody else when I could do it? Well, yeah, okay, well, that makes complete sense. But you know what? Sometimes it's okay to pass along. It is. even back in the day when me and Steve were booking the Trocadero, which we've talked about before, there were so many times that people would be like, dude, and because you've played nationals for us, there'd be many times where people would be like, how come you didn't get your band to do it? And I'd go, because it's not what this is about. It's not about my band. It's about helping the scene and meeting people and trying to help other artists. That's what this is about. I mean, sure, could I have put my band on every killer national show as an opener? Absolutely. But I didn't, because it wasn't the right thing to do. Sometimes the right thing to do is giving your spot or taking a chance and giving your spot to somebody else. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a firm believer in that. That is a hill I will die on. I'm a big believer in supporting other bands, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And unfortunately, there are some bookers in current times that are doing just the opposite. And in my opinion, it's a conflict of interest. Yeah, and it's really tough. Yeah. What does it do? It limits the scene. It limits the exposure. And actually, in reality, if it's that same band and they are terrible, you're killing that show. You're killing that show, not only for the audience, but for that band that's traveling.
Yep.
And two things are going to happen. Either they're not coming back to that venue, or they're not going to use that booker, or both.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Figure I'm going to just go to another area.
Yeah.
You are listening to the Cosmick Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
I think that playing it safe and stealing home, however you want to look at it, however you want to call it, I think there's a business aspect to it. That doesn't mean that you're just swinging at the fences. Though, listen, I mean, and anybody that's told the truth, I can't tell you how many times I was just swinging for the fences to see what happens.
Absolutely.
Because, you're learning the ropes. You don't know the ropes. You can't read. It's all in Greek. No offense to the Greek people, but I don't read it. I can barely read English. There's the shot at myself. But I've been swinging at the fences. I threw a bunch of stuff at the walls. Hey, then maybe I have something to work with. That's taking a chance. Over the years, I've learned that I don't have to do that as radically as I did before, because I've gotten smarter, and we talked about it. Work harder to work smarter that way. Making things work for you rather than you working so hard for it. Sometimes get that situation, find out what's making it tick, and see how you can kind of massage it one way or the other. And then it doesn't seem so daunting when you're faced with a choice or a challenge or some decision that, do I go to the show? Don't I go to the show? Should I play this? And again, there's been shows that we've been on, and I've had people go, they've laughed and they go, really? Why did you do, like play with that band? And I go, why not? That band's a way bigger band than I am, and if anything, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
This band's been super fortunate to go over to Europe. We've been over to the UK. We've been across the country. I've had people say to me multiple times, well, why would you go to the UK? Why would you go all the way to Belgium? Or why would you go to the Netherlands or Germany? Whatever, wherever. And my question is to them is, why not?
Why not?
If the opportunity is there and it makes sense, and at the end of the day, we're going to go back to season 1, episode 1, you got to do your due diligence in whatever it is. It's not just like say yes and expect things that just kind of like, how to get there and what do you need to do. There's work, there's planning. That's the business. It's just like anything. If you were a landscaper, you'd have to find additional work, set it up for the year, do your weekly rounds, do your ledger books, make sure you've got collection, your invoicing, the whole bit. You do that in any job. Same thing here. But sometimes, like Chris was saying, even if you have that worked out, you're still taking a chance, because nothing, especially in this business, is guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed.
Nope.
What happens when we don't steal home? Okay, again, using the title of the show, right? Playing it safe, nothing wrong with it. If that's what you choose to do. There are plenty of people that have made decent livings, were able to retire well by playing it safe. That's okay. But if you have regret because you've done that, especially as an artist, you're like, I should have did that show. You look back and like, oh, maybe I should have traveled there, or maybe I should have bought that package deal. I don't know. Whatever the case may be. I'm not sure. Maybe I should have did one more song. Maybe I should have, whatever. If you're going to play it safe and then have regrets at the same time, you're making it worse for yourself.
Yeah.
It's one thing about playing it safe, you're happy with it, I wouldn't change it. And it's also when you steal home and you fall on your face, you take a chance, you're trying to steal bases, and they get you out. You're out. You're done. Well, listen, you took the chance. What are you going to do? You're going to give up? Is that the end of it? Well, you have to make that choice. What kind of person are you? But you made your bed, now sleep in it. And that goes for if you steal home and you get the home run, you make it, well, everybody, I knew he could do it. Well, it doesn't matter what other people think. You have to think, well, listen, I gave it the best shot. I gave it a shot. There's a lot of things I gave a shot at. Yeah, maybe it didn't pay off, but I still did it. And I don't regret not doing it. It would have been great if it panned out, but hey, it didn't. And there's things that I the same thing I took shots at several times in a row. And sometimes it took maybe the fourth or fifth time for it to actually, something sparked from it.
Because you knew something was there, right? You knew that you had to go for it. You just didn't know how to get there.
Exactly. Yep. Just because you've lost money doesn't mean that it's over. So you spent some money, that could have been an education. We talked about that, I think, in season 1. A lot of times,
pretty sure,
we are looking at an opportunity to learn, to educate ourselves, especially if we don't know. I mean, how many people get into this business, including me? I got into this business, I started playing heavily out at 13 with older guys. And we talked about this. I didn't know what a business was. Wasn't even sure I could spell it.
Yeah.
If you put me in a spelling bee, right?
Right.
I could barely tune, but I was playing. And you learn it as you go along. You just pick this up. Then all of a sudden you find that you're on your own. You're like, oh my God, what do I do? I kind of relied on this person, or this person did this for me. And I had that for a lot of years. Like, I was in a band situation where I was writing material, but I wasn't the one really kind of steering the boat. I threw in my 2 cents here and there and creativity and all, but I wasn't the one making those final decisions. And then when I was left on my own, so to speak, like, I was realizing, like, one, man, I don't know what I'm doing here. And then the other side was, man, why did I let that happen? Like, what was why wasn't I paying attention? So you're learning both ends of what you don't know and what you didn't know that you should have known. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I really do think that a life of regret is horrible.
Yeah.
I talked about this a couple times. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the show, but I have talked about it in private. I've talked about it to you, Chris. I took time off from the music world because I was just completely wiped out. I was just drained. Stressed to the max. I was like, this is just ludicrous, and not the rapper. I was just like, I need to actually figure out what real life is for a little bit. And I did, but I always knew that I was going to come back. I always said, I'm going to come back because I know I didn't finish exactly what I started. Years started to come on, and I was like, I knew I'm coming back. I was waiting. Like, all of a sudden, the mindset was like, I'm waiting for that right time. Well, I lost some family members during that hiatus time. And watching them go through what they went through, I realized that there was a lot of regret. Especially when you're given your papers that, hey, man, you know what? You only have... It's like the end's coming. You're like, oh, man, That's when I made the decision that what's the right time? Because if you keep waiting for the right time, it's never going to come, because there's always going to be another right time. That ain't right.
Yeah.
And I just said, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. And, of course, I jumping back when the digital age started really popping, and I'm like, what am I doing? All of a sudden, I'm 16 again, and I'm like, I don't know anything. I should know this, and I don't, and, and I got to learn this, and how am I going to do that? You take a chance. And I think that if you don't take those chances and you're living with all this regret, things happen, and there's your creativity right out the door.
Yep.
Regret does not help creativity as an artist.
Nope.
So taking that shot, nothing wrong with it, man. But you just got to be prepared. You got to be prepared one way or the other. A lot of people aren't prepared for either. You're either going to succeed or you're going to fall on your face. They're surprised when one or the other happens, and they don't know how to handle it. And you need to be able to talk to yourself, like, say, listen, and again, this is the business model. Hey, if I do this, there's the possibility that this may happen. But there's also the possibility that this may happen. And of course, there's always that middle ground, which is always a plus, right? Because it's not the extremes. It's black or white type of thing. But really, in this business, what is there? There's a ton of gray.
Yep.
I think that's all there really is gray. I think if you look at it that way, maybe calculated risk, nothing wrong with that. There are some people in the financial world, they do calculated risks all the time. Big business, corporate America, international business, they hire people that are brainiacs to figure out all these stats and run these numbers, and they give these scientific risk statements that says, okay, here we go. If we do this, this is what we're looking at. And worst case scenario, this is what we're looking at. Now, most of us don't have that type of resources, both in finances and or people, but there's still some calculated risk we can put together, especially if we have some prior experience. Now, for those that don't have prior experience, you get it by just kind of thinking on your feet. Common sense sometimes helps you out.
Does. Yes, it does.
I'm still lacking at it, but, you know, I'm trying, man. Common sense is tough. Common sense is tough.
That is the truth.
You know? I'm trying to think of one time in particular that, besides going over to Europe, because that was a huge chance for this band. Huge chance.
Yeah.
You know, we took a chance going to the UK for the first time, and we've told this story before. I mean, like, right at the cusp of COVID, I was told by everybody we should just cancel it. You know, they're not going to let you do this, let you do that. But everything was still open, and I said, if everything is still open, I'm still going, because everything's lined up. If I'm going to go, I'm going to lose at least giving it a shot.
Let's be honest. There was also people that told you it couldn't be done in the short amount of time that you did it, and you did it.
Right out of the gate, I was told, this can't be done. I mean, people with even in my own camp, I was like, you know, I was hitting one wall after another. And finally, I said, I'm going a completely different way, and I'm going to put this together, and I'm going to make it happen. And I did. I put together a 10-day tour. And we got over there, and we got a partial way through it. And then, you know how they say come hell or high water? Well, all of it hit. And it was completely out of our control. But even when our flight was canceled, I mean, I've told the story before, we figured, well, we're stuck here. We're going to keep going. We have a rental. We have everything. We're going to keep going until we can't go anymore. And we went as far as until they started shutting down. Yeah. And that was it. And that was the end of it. And there you have it. 4 or 5 years later, however long it's been. But we took a chance, and I'll tell you what, we took a chance, and here's how it paid off. We made contacts over there that we were able to use for the comeback tour in 2023. So 3 years later, we made new contacts, maintained those contacts, and was able to get a larger reach and did a much larger run of the country.
Yep.
We hit all over the place, which was a little bit more of a haul than the first tour, but there was about 4 shows that were just incredible. It surpassed our expectation. Right. Which just shocked us. And again, took a chance the first time, fell on our face, unfortunately, because of the COVID pandemic and slightly out of our control. But you had your naysayers. Oh, when we got back, absolutely. You should have stayed home, you see? You know, well, okay, whatever. But I have a story to tell. I came back into Philly in an airport that I was used to seeing packed to the gill, and there was nobody in there. It was the scariest thing that I've ever seen. I took pictures of it, but there was an air of silence. Silence. I also spent 2 hours in an interrogation room because they weren't sure what I had in my bag, and it wound up being a bar of soap because everybody was on heightened. They thought that, you know, we were carrying in, like, the virus or whatever it was.
Monkeypox.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Patient zero.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in the first season of The Walking Dead, when Rick's in the hospital, he's waking up all by himself. That's what it felt like. So, what do you got? You got anything else you want to add?
The only thing I want to add is swing, bada, swing.
That's it, baby. Listen, you're an artist. Your whole career is based on imagination and creativity.
And chance.
And chance. Because you don't know. None of us know. If we knew, believe me, if I knew, I wouldn't be doing this business. At this age and what I've experienced, if I knew, I would have said, you know what? You can have that. Because the health plan sucks. Like Chris said, swing, baby. Keep swinging. Keep swinging till someone else goes down.
That's it, baby.
You'd be surprised at what you can achieve. Because you'll get right back up. Believe you can, and you will.
Yep.
If you like that episode, check out some of our other episodes at www.thecosmickvoice.com. Step into the Cosmickverse and fill that void. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Cosmic Voice. Be sure to check us out at thecosmicvoice.com. Like and follow us on Facebook at The Cosmic Voice. You can find The Cosmic Voice everywhere you listen to online podcasts, like Deezer, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, and so many more.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Mick and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes of The Cosmic Voice. And you can get in touch with us through thecosmicvoice.com and, of course, all of the Cosmic Voice social medias. Take care and be safe.
You're listening to the Cosmic Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.